Hi everyone, Dr. Sarah here. It's so good to be here. I'm so excited to talk about Juicy Like a Peach. I don't know if you've seen um, Hallie's most recent quotes, and we had this great video put out today because this name, Juicy Like a Peach, I think is just such a wonderfully accurate name because I think all of us are hoping that we can become juicy like a peach, whether it's on our skin or in our vagina. So it's really great to be here. For those of you that don't know me, I am Dr. Sarah De La Torre. I'm a board certified OBGYN and menopause and longevity specialist. And I'm also the chief medical officer at Joylux and Halle Berry's company, Respin. And I've been with Joylux since the beginning, and I'm just so glad to be here because it allows me to, along with Joylux, be really innovative and care for women. And so I've spent a lot of my time taking care of women who are navigating perimenopause and menopause. And one thing that I've seen over the years, which I find really powerful, is that women have more tools and resources, and they're becoming more empowered to ask questions, seek out solutions, and truly advocate for their own health instead of just simply accepting what oftentimes physicians will say, well, this is just part of aging, right? Or uncomfortable symptoms, and this is just the way it goes. And that is one of the reasons why I love working with Joylux and our fantastic CEO, Colette, and really our whole amazing team. We have an amazing team at Joylux. And then Hallie, and working with Hallie at Respin and helping, Hallie and I working together to create innovative products along with Colette. So we've been committed at Joylux for a very long time about bringing science-backed solutions. So not, sort of wellness whatevers, but truly science-backed solutions that are innovative and really helpful to women's intimate health. We have our red light therapy device. We have lots of different products that are thoughtfully formulated for women at this stage of life, and really any stage. Clean products, pH balance. But we're really dedicated to giving women more options to support their bodies through these different stages of life. So vaginal dryness is a very common part of stage of life for many actually phases during our reproductive lives. So postpartum, being on the birth control pill, that can cause vaginal dryness, and then certainly in the breastfeeding phases, and then certainly with perimenopause and menopause. And it's really very common. I think a lot of my patients don't realize how common it is. They feel like they're alone or they're suffering where other women are not going through this. But more than half of women experience vaginal dryness during perimenopause and menopause. It gets more prevalent as a woman gets further away from her natural estrogen. So further into menopause, she's more likely to have vaginal dryness. And a lot of women don't realize that there are very effective options, not only just traditional lubricants and not only hormone replacement therapy. Vaginal estrogen is really powerful, but there are more options for those that are not wanting to take vaginal or systemic hormones. So I really like women to understand the difference between a lubricant and a vaginal moisturizer. So we're going to go over that a little bit right now because I think it's important to understand. So lubricants are amazing. I think every person should be using lubricant, whether you're with self-pleasure or with a partner. So they're designed to reduce friction during intimacy. It's sort of in the moment, right? You put a lubricant on, they don't last. Sometimes you have to reapply, but they're not going to provide you actual moisture into the tissues. They're going to reduce the friction, right? Where a vaginal moisturizer is intended to provide ongoing moisture support. So not only does it help in the moment because you're more lubricated in general, more moisture is present, but it helps maintain that healthy, more moisturized vaginal tissue over time. So lubricants and vaginal moisturizers are both very, very important, but they serve different purposes. And it's fantastic to use both. I encourage my patients to be using moisturizers, lubricants, and then vaginal estrogen, and then red light therapy, because the whole package together really makes a huge difference in the health of your vaginal tissue. So this is why we're very excited to introduce Juicy Like a Peach. So this is our newest addition from Joylux and Respin, newest innovation for intimate moisture. And Juicy Like a Peach was developed in partnership with Hallie that I mentioned and Respin. Hallie's been, as I hope you know or listen to her, she's been so incredibly open and empowered in her own menopause journey to not only talk about what she's going through, which I think is incredibly beneficial for other women to hear, but also bringing more attention to conversations and making it easier for all of us to talk about vaginal dryness and the changes that are happening in menopause and perimenopause, and also our intimate health. But she's been very powerful in terms of innovation and working with us to seek out new and different innovative products that are non-hormonal option, but also grounded in science. So again, women can have more choice. I think, it's the best part of my job is offering women more options and more choice for their health. So Juicy Like a Peach is a long-lasting vaginal moisturizer. And how it works is it creates a sort of invisible moisture veil or a barrier to help protect and maintain moisture in the vaginal tissues over time. So again, rather than just adding moisture in the moment, a lubricant in the moment, it's designed to adhere to the tissue, the vaginal tissue, and help support long-lasting moisture where it's needed most. So what I really like about this product and what I appreciate about it is the science behind the formulation. So there's this product called HPMC5 technology. And what it does is it helps create long-lasting moisture veil or barrier while remaining hormone-free. All of our products are pH balanced. They're all clean and safe for this very delicate and very absorptive part of our body. So we need absolutely clean ingredients and pH balance in the vaginal tissue. And then it's very safe to use alongside hormone therapy. So if you're using systemic or specifically local vaginal hormone therapy, like estradiol in the vagina, DHEA in the vagina, this works well with this. It also works well with hyaluronic acid, like our Relief Her product. So you can combine all of these products very safely and effectively. So I'm really excited to share more about Juicy Like a Peach tonight and answer questions. So if you have questions, you can put them in the comment sections, and I'll be going back and forth, between just talking and then looking at the comment sections and making sure that we are, that we're having a really open conversation and that people are understanding. And we already have a comment and a question, and it says, can I use it with vaginal estrogen cream? Yes, absolutely. You can use it with pellets. You can use it with any form of systemic hormone therapy, whether it's a patch, a pill, a ring, a pellet, an oral pill. And then you can use it with vaginal estrogen, which is oftentimes a cream or a suppository. So yes, all of those things are perfectly safe and work very, very well together. So if you're experiencing vaginal dryness, or you're supporting someone who is, or you just want to learn more about your options, and please, I want to ask, you guys feel free to ask questions. I'll go over everything in pretty good detail, but I want women to feel better equipped and understand the solutions that can help you feel like yourself again, get your vibe back in terms of your intimate tissues. So what is Juicy Like a Peach? So it is an FDA-cleared, I think that's really important to understand, that the FDA said this is cleared. You can use this for vaginal dryness treatment. And again, it has the HPMC technology. And this HPMC has been around for a long time, actually. It's been trusted for a very long time in different pharmaceutical applications, like to protect delicate tissues like eyes. So eye dryness formulations have HPMC in it. And it really gives us a unique approach to relieving vaginal dryness because it creates this sort of breathable moisture retention, like we call it a veil or a barrier. And so you maintain comfort, less dryness, and then it relieves painful sex. So I like to think of it as a consistent moisturizer that works more or consistently over time. So the more you use it, the longer you use it, then it can be intensely hydrating. And it's really this breakthrough material that makes, sex feel better again, like soothing that delicate tissue, creating this moisture veil. And instead of feeling like sandpaper or razor blades, which is like how Hallie used to describe it. So hormonal changes we talked about this a little bit, but just to describe, this is very normal to have dryness. So in perimenopause and menopause, declining estrogen is the cause. So for having dryness, our vaginal tissues are very dependent on estrogen for hydration, for thickness of the tissue, for even the healthy, what's called glycogen, which feeds our healthy bacteria. All that is estrogen dependent. So as we have declining estrogen, a woman can have dryness, irritation, pain with sex. She can have urinary tract infections. So all of that is very, very common in perimenopause and menopause. I mentioned postpartum and breastfeeding. Again, estrogen levels are temporarily lower when you're breastfeeding and when a woman is postpartum, even without breastfeeding. Medications, so antihistamines, so if you have allergies or if you take some antidepressants, and certainly birth control pills, absolutely. Hormonal birth control can cause vaginal dryness as well. Some women have autoimmune conditions that can cause, some of them can cause dryness. And then stress and lifestyle factors. Maybe you're finding that it's more difficult for you to relax during sex. It's affecting your arousal and your natural lubrication, which is also very common. So this is important to have options for vaginal moisture and vaginal lubrication. So chronic vaginal dryness is something that's just ongoing and very much likely related to perimenopause and menopause. If you don't replace estrogen, it's not going to get better. It's actually going to get worse. That is the honest truth. Whereas breastfeeding and postpartum, different treatments can be somewhat temporary. But what the symptoms are, again, itching, burning, urinary symptoms, and pain with intercourse, and not just discomfort, but true pain. I have patients that are unable to have intercourse due to dryness and the burning. So how does this HPMC work? So if you think about how we treat our skin, like if you were to put on, I love those, can't remember the name of them, but just like a hyaluronic acid mask or collagen mask that you put on your face. I usually sometimes try to go to bed in them, like really just intense hydration. So it creates this lightweight, breathable moisture barrier that helps like lock in the moisture where we really need it most. And that is in our vagina, as we talked about. So instead of it just like going in there like a lubricant and then quickly disappearing, this barrier sticks around and you have lasting comfort, less dryness. And so intimacy can start to feel comfortable again over time. And again, the longer you use it, then the more it stays, right? Then the more you have that lubrication and that moisture. So a lot of women will say, well, how quick does this work? I notice a difference after the first application, like truly. And a lot of my patients say the same thing. It didn't take long. We sort of trialed this with a group of users. They said like really it starts to create that moisture barrier pretty immediately. Again, the longer you use it though with daily use, the barrier continues to support healthier tissue, become more comfortable and more moisturized, and it does improve over time. Who would be a good person to use it? Well, I mentioned lots of different categories of women that may benefit from it. So certainly perimenopause and menopause, certainly breastfeeding. Maybe you're undergoing cancer treatment or you're on a birth control pill and you're noticing this will absolutely help. So I think it's, again, anybody whose dryness is starting to bother you or you have mild itching and irritation. And I like to encourage women to start using these types of products before it gets bad, right? Because then it's harder to come back from. So I like to encourage women to start using vaginal estrogen, hyaluronic acid, juicy like a peach, red light therapy. As soon as you start to notice the most mildest changes, it doesn't have to be really bad because it's actually more difficult to repair those tissues once we get further down the road. So if you're starting to feel some discomfort during intimacy, or even just honestly, without intimacy, just sitting around, you feel like, oh, my jeans or everything just feels a little irritated down there, that would be a good time to consider using a vaginal moisturizer. Just to emphasize, this is not a lubricant. This is not something that you want to use in the moment with intimacy. Lubricants are great for that. This is not designed for like temporary glide. This is designed for a daily vaginal moisturizer that's going to create that barrier, hydrate the tissues, and keep things just as comfortable as possible, especially the longer you use it. So I like to think of it as we have our daily skincare ritual. I have my ritual at night for what I do on my skin, my contact lenses, all this stuff. This is kind of your daily skincare ritual, but for your intimate tissues and your vaginal tissues. Someone's asking, is this a hormone-free? It is hormone-free. But it is compatible with using hormone replacement therapy, like I mentioned, whether that's systemic or just locally in the vagina. But certainly you can ask your provider and say, is this okay to use? Have you heard of it? I'm going to jump over to some questions and comments. So we're going to, someone said that they want to know how to use it. I'm going to show you for sure. Okay. Great question here. Awesome question. What's the effect on a man? no problem. It's safe, it's non-toxic. They're not going to be harmed by it. They're not going to have any changes. If they're not going to notice anything. There's not, unless you put it on right before intimacy, they're not going to have anything on their anatomy. So perfectly safe to use with a man, and you can use it after intercourse if you'd like to. You can use it before intercourse if you'd like to. The downside of using it right before intercourse is that you're going to the potential movement with intimacy will probably remove some of it. So it's a little bit of a waste of the product if you're using it right before intimacy. Again, that would be a lubricant. So you want to pick a different time during your day to be using it. God cannot be a woman. I mean, I want to think of God as a woman, but then I'm also, you're right. Like what the heck? We women go through so much, which is why it's a privilege. I really feel like it's a privilege to be a gynecologist. So does Juicy Like a Peach double as a vibrator? No, because this is like not the thing, but the red light therapy device or VFit, it can absolutely double as a vibrator. I have a lot of patients and women that I know use it as their treatment, but they also experience self-pleasure while using it. So VFit can certainly absolutely double as a vibrator. It does vibrate and it has a gentle heat with the red light therapy combined on, so you can certainly use it in both ways. And then if the red lights go off, because it's 10 minutes, you can still use it on vibratory mode. So that's a great question. Is there a medicine taste? So again, this is not something that you're going to be using during sex. So this is not a lubricant. You don't want to be using it. Technically, it is safe, but again, it's not to be used as a sexual lubricant. It's to be used separately as a daily moisturizer. If you happen to have oral sex after it's been put in, it's safe and fine, but they should be separate. This should be separate from sex and not considered an enhancement for sex whatsoever. You do use this every day. You can use it, and we'd like you to use it every day because it works better over time. The more you use it, then the more effective it's going to be. So, and this does not have to be used with the red light therapy device. So this can be used, but that's not, again, not its function. So and then if you're putting it in, if you're putting this inserter in, then I'm going to show you the applicator, and then you're using the red light therapy device, or you're having sex, a lot of it's going to get on the partner's anatomy, and then some of it's going to get on the VFit. So you're going to be removing part of it. So I would not suggest doing that because it's just wasteful of the product and wasteful of money, if that makes sense. So separate things. Let me hop back so I can see the camera and all of that. So let me describe to you how we use it. Okay, so you take off the top and you take the applicator that it comes with. Sorry, the blur on the camera. Okay, and you screw this on top. Sorry, I have to pull this back. You screw it on top, and then you squeeze, and it goes to a pre-filled mark. Okay, and it stops. So then you take it off, and then you take this, you put it inside your vagina and push this in. And I'll do it on my hand. Okay, so you just go like this. And that's the amount of product that comes out. So this will cover your vaginal tissue. The most important part of the vagina is what we call the distal third. So the closest to the outside, the last third of the vagina, that's where you have your sensatory fibers. That's where your nerves live that you can feel. So it's very important to get it on the lower third. Same with vaginal estrogen, same with hyaluronic acid. But when you put this on the inside of your vagina, it's going to coat the vagina just naturally because of gravity and the way that actually our vaginal walls collapse on each other when nothing's inside there, if that makes sense. So it's not like the vagina is this open canal. The tissue is collapsed onto each other. So as soon as you put it in there, it's going to be in the whole vaginal canal. And this is just silky, silky, silky smooth. And then when I've done this several times, and then when I feel it later, it just feels like this nice gliding moisture barrier. It shouldn't come out of the vagina. because it does get absorbed pretty, excuse me, it does get absorbed pretty easily. So you shouldn't feel anything come out the next day or that night. Okay, so it's pretty clean. It all stays inside the vagina. So each tube that you get contains 30 doses essentially, and then you get this reusable applicator. Because you're putting this in your vagina, I like to wash it with some soap and water and then just kind of let it air dry out there. And I usually pull the applicator down so there's air in that tissue, or sorry, in that section. But yeah, I usually wash, and you should wash with just like, warm soap and water, and then leave it on your bathroom counter. If you like to leave it on a towel or a Kleenex, like fine for you, whatever works. But I do like to use it and then clean it. Again, how often? I just daily, right? You're going to have the best experience if you're using this consistently because it supports your body's natural moisture barrier, and consistent use will keep that lasting comfort and moisture in there. Like all of our products, like I mentioned before, they're pH balanced, they're water based. They have something that's really important called low osmolality. So something that has high osmolality, that's like a high concentration of particles in a fluid, that can be damaging to the tissue and cause more irritation. So low osmolality is really, really important. That's what this is. It's definitely non-greasy, like it feels really, really good. And it has all clean ingredients. So again, very absorptive part of our body. We need gentle, we need clean, we need pH balance on this delicate vaginal tissue, and that's what Juicy Like a Peach is. And then I liked this HPMC5. So this was really interesting to me because a few years ago, we had heard about it and we're like, what is that? And I hadn't heard about it in medical school. I hadn't heard about it, and clearly not an ophthalmologist, so I probably wouldn't have. But HPMC5 is a proprietary technology, and it's unlike any other vaginal moisturizer. It's not like hyaluronic acid. It's not like a lubricant. It sort of creates this invisible, breathable veil, and it kind of hugs that delicate vaginal tissue and it seals it in. So it's not going to it's not going to come out because it really adheres to the vaginal tissue very, very nicely. So yeah, I think you should give it a try and see how it feels. So it does start to work pretty quickly. If this one person has had GSM issues, which is genital urinary syndrome and menopause, so that's dryness, irritation, urinary tract infection. So that's genital urinary syndrome and menopause. The longer you have it, the more difficult it can be to come back from it. Not impossible by any means, but just takes longer because you're sort of rebuilding that tissue. So you were using Reverie before. You can use both hyaluronic acid and Juicy Like a Peach. You can use vaginal estrogen, which again, I want to emphasize, vaginal estrogen is the gold standard for vaginal dryness. It works very effectively with all of our products. So you can use hyaluronic acid, Juicy Like a Peach, vaginal estrogen, the V-Fit. And honestly, the person who's had GSM for 5 years, probably the more modalities you use, the more products, the faster you're going to have healing and the faster your tissue is going to get back to more healthy vaginal tissue. Someone's asking, how can I soothe the burning? So again, this is a great product to soothe burning that you might be having from vaginal dryness or irritation. And as is hyaluronic acid, as is V-Fit, as is vaginal estrogen. So you have options here, but this can help soothe the tissue as well, okay? Red light therapy cannot burn you. Someone's asking, a lot of the reviews said red light therapy cannot burn you. So red light therapy is a really gentle modality. You can place it on your skin and it doesn't heat up enough to burn. It doesn't go past certain degrees. It only goes so high, and then there's an automatic shut-off system in the V-Fit. And so it is, it can't burn you, but some women have such thin tissue from GSM, from genital urinary syndrome menopause, and that they can feel discomfort with too much, what they're perceiving as too much heat, but the device itself doesn't get too hot. So for women who have had GSM for quite some time or have a lot of dryness and burning, I encourage them to use a device just for 2 minutes. Start very low, start very slow, and then gradually build up. As your tissue starts to heal, it becomes thicker, it becomes more lubricated and more moisturized, and then you can go longer with the V-Fit. So there does not burn. It's the technology. It's not really possible for it to burn. It's very, I don't know how that would happen, especially since with all the safety mechanisms that we have in the device from not getting too hot and all of that. But red light therapy is very safe, very effective, and even just like red light therapy itself can't burn. Just it doesn't have the capacity to do that. Um, what time of day? That's up to you. I like to do these types of things at night before bed. So I'll use my vaginal estrogen at night. I'll use Juicy like a night. At night, I'll use hyaluronic acid. So I usually pick a night that I know I'm not going to be intimate and then use it. And so I prefer nighttime. But again, because it holds and hugs the vaginal tissue really well, it shouldn't seep out. So if you like to use it during the day, great. Then use it during the day. But I sort of think these things are easier at night because then they just have time you're laying down. They just had time to adhere to the tissue and really start to work. Great question. So the vaginal hydration melts and Juicy like a peach are different. The vaginal hydration melts, known as Relief Her, those are hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid you may have heard of. It's this, somewhat older product. It's been around for a long time, but we've just sort of talking about it more in the last 3 to 5 years. It binds moisture in your tissue, it binds water. So we use it on our skin. It's on face creams, it's on hand creams. It's like, it's in hair stuff now too. So hyaluronic acid binds water. So in the vagina, when you have dryness, what hyaluronic acid is going to do is it's going to go in there and it's going to bind any of the water in the tissue and hold on to it so the vagina feels more moisturized. So the hydration melts are really great also for frequent use, right? Because you're consistently building up the moisture in the vagina. This is more of a moisture barrier where it provides moisture and then it seals the moisture in. So using the two together, not necessarily at the same time, but together really works well. Okay, so that really kind of gives you moisture and then binds the moisture in there by using both products. No estrogen, estrogen free, DHEA free, testosterone free, so hormone free. This is a hormone free product. It's Hypromellose is the name of it, and it's just a proprietary technology that does, again, a moisture barrier, like in the eyes with contact lenses. That's one of the most primary uses that it has had is with dry eye syndrome. Okay. This question, can I use just the vaginal estrogen without progesterone? That's a menopause question. I'm happy to answer it. So if you're only using vaginal estrogen, that is not systemic, because there are vaginal estrogen products that are for the whole body, like the Fem ring is for the whole body. The S string is just for the vagina. So I want you to confirm with your provider that you are just using local or vaginal estrogen. And if that's the case, you don't need to use progesterone because the doses are so low that it's not going to be absorbed to the point where it's increasing the thickness of the lining. If you use systemic estrogen and you have a uterus, you should absolutely be on progesterone. That being said, if you use systemic estrogen and you don't have a uterus, progesterone is also fantastic. It helps us sleep. It reduces anxiety. It's a very calming hormone. So I put in everybody who's on estrogen on progesterone. And oftentimes I start progesterone first for women in early perimenopause. So progesterone's a great hormone. You shouldn't avoid it. And don't feel like you don't just use it with unless you have a uterus. Let's see. So I use topical combo, but I don't think so. That may be that you're using systemic hormones. I'm not sure if that's the question, Karen, but you're using like a cream or a patch. So it's interesting because with systemic estrogen, we think, well, we're giving you systemic estrogen, your vagina should feel fine. Most women, or I'll say even many women, still need local estrogen or local vaginal support even when they're on systemic estrogen. So I will often prescribe systemic estrogen and progesterone, and then also a local vaginal estrogen. So just because you are using the topical, you're right, it doesn't work well for the dryness. Many women need a little extra boost. And you also may not be on a high enough dose of systemic estrogen, so you want to talk to your provider about that. Um, you use Reverie with the device, but you're nervous to use only the estradiol cream alone. Yeah, I think, a lot of women need more than, excuse me, and a lot of women need more than just vaginal estrogen. Like vaginal estrogen is amazing, but a lot of women need more than just vaginal estrogen, truly. Like it's just not enough. So I would keep that in mind as well. Like it's estrogen alone can work, but a lot of times women need the estrogen, the hyaluronic acid, juicy like a peach, VFit, like I've been saying, like you can use all modalities to help. So, uh, yeah, I agree. Like I think vaginal estrogen, it is the gold standard. It works great. There's also vaginal DHA. There's absolutely great hormonal therapies. But in addition to that, a lot of women also need juicy like a peach, hyaluronic acid, and the VFit. I mean, that's sort of my routine is using all these products, and then a lubricant during intimacy, and then there's no issues. Okay, so just the estradiol with uterus intact orally, yeah, you'd absolutely need to be on progesterone, just as a side note, okay? Um, So if you're just getting started using red light therapy, what should you use when you've been experiencing dryness, postmenopausal, and not on? Okay, great question. So I would use probably the Relief Her and Juicy Like a Peach. So if you're choosing to not use local estrogen and not systemic estrogen, if you're not going to put any estrogen or any hormones in your body, then you will most likely need the VFit, Juicy Like a Peach, and the hydration melts, the hyaluronic acid, just to kind of keep things maintained. If you're just starting to use a red light therapy, you should be using it every other day. So on the alternating nights, you could use a hydration melt, and then every day use the vaginal moisturizer. And I bet within a few weeks, your things are going to feel better on that regimen. Another menopause question, is estradiol the same as vaginal estrogen? Well, there's lots of different types of estrogen on the market. Estradiol is a bioidentical hormone, which is what we should be prescribing only. So if you are likely on estradiol vaginally, and that's the same as estrogen, okay? But there's estrogen is a big category, and then estradiol and conjugated estrogens and, other estrogens are all under that umbrella, but estradiol is bioidentical and the safest for you and what every woman should be on. You shouldn't be on other estrogens. Okay. Okay, moving on. I think, does everybody feel comfortable knowing how to use it? So there's been a lot of questions about what to use and how to use it. And I think just really knowing that our products are all designed to complement one another and to be used as a wellness routine. So you can sort of say, okay, Mondays I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday I do VFit, and then on Monday through Sunday I'm using Juicy, and then occasionally I'll use a hydration melt when I need an extra boost. I mean, that's sort of the idea, because we're giving you 15 milligrams of hyaluronic acid, which is one of the highest doses on the market. It really helps replenish hydration when you need it most. And then Juicy Like a Peach really helps do that daily vaginal moisturizer, keeping that barrier in there and improving your comfort over time. Let's Spin is our intimate moisturizing gel. You could call it our lubricant, in quotes, but it is our intimate gel that helps during intimacy. So that's more like in the moment. Again, clean, pH balance, all the things that we want. And then VFit is a red light therapy device, and that's also sort of a longer term ongoing vaginal tissue support that's going to promote circulation, promote collagen formation, and natural lubrication. So a lot of women are saying, okay, this is my daily, Hallie does this. This is my daily for lasting moisturizing. And then we kind of throw in their hydration melts when we want that extra boost. And again, VFit is ongoing as part of your wellness routine to support that tissue. And then Let's Spin, or a lubricant or intimacy gel, is just like that added moisture and comfort during sex, give you that less in the moment friction. So again, like it's up to you, like what your skincare routine looks like, and intimate wellness, it's really personal and needs to be kind of curated for how you like to use things and how your schedule is and when you're having sex or not having sex and when sex is spontaneous or when it's planned. Everybody's so different and special in their own way in terms of how they're taking care of their body. But we have plenty of products that are potentially, great for you that fit your body and your needs perfectly. So you just need to choose what that is. So in the box, again, you get the applicator and then the 30 pre-filled doses, right? So this will last you a month if you're using it daily. Irritation is very, very, very uncommon, but every woman is different. And so if you have temporary irritation or itching, if you get mild burning or whatever symptom, I would just maybe give it a rest for a day or two and then try again. But if it persists or becomes severe for some reason, then I want you to go see, can discontinue it and then go see your provider. And we're more than happy for you to let us know as well. So the ingredients in this are very simple. And HPMC 5, of course, is the main HPMC, which is hypromellose, is the main ingredient. And so that's sort of the powerhouse ingredient. It's the one that is used for eye dryness and all that. So it adheres to that delicate vaginal tissue, really forms that sustained layer. So that's the working ingredient, right? And then we add a little tiny bit of lactic acid. And when anybody hears the word acid and then they think their vagina, I want to just get that out of your head. So what lactic acid? Our vagina is very acidic. And when it's healthy, it's very acidic. Our vaginal pH is low. It's like 3.8 on a scale of 10. So we want to keep it there because when vaginal pH goes up, you're more likely to get a bacteriovaginosis infection. You're more likely to have itching and irritation. It affects your microbiome. So we add the tiniest bit of lactic acid to keep the pH where it needs to be in any vaginal product. So that's where the pH balance comes in, is a little bit of lactic acid. And then sodium hydroxide is this very safe, very, very common ingredient that kind of makes sure that the pH is fine-tuned so all the ingredients are working at their best. Benzoic acid is something that we find in berries and botanicals, and it helps keep the formula fresh and effective, and it's really helpful to just make the product last. And then we have water in it, and that is the base that allows this consistent moisture to be maintained with every single use. So that is juicy like a peach. This is it. And I hope that was helpful. A couple other questions. You have a VFit, can use juicy. Yeah, so again, you can use vaginal estrogen, VFit, juicy, relief her. All of these things work in synergistically, right? And they're all clean, they're all pH balanced, they're all safe. And that's how we design our products at Joylux. And they have different roles. And so yes, you can use all of them. It just depends on what your wellness routine is that you want to do. And the last question, which is a menopause question, is there a pill format of vaginal estrogen? Yes, there's called a suppository. There's different brand names, but you would ask your provider for a vaginal estrogen suppository. It's a very tiny dose, again, not systemically absorbed. Can I touch upon progesterone? Sure. So progesterone, again, we talked a little bit about it. Progesterone is an amazing hormone. It is bioidentical. When you say progesterone, progestins are not bioidentical. Those are what are in birth control pills, the IUD, and then the Women's Health Initiative, which was the hormone study 20 plus years ago that told everybody to go off of hormones. That's a type of progestin that was in there. It wasn't progesterone. So we know progesterone is anti-breast cancer. It's anti-growth in the uterus. It helps our bones. It's a really fantastic hormone. It helps us sleep. It helps us calm us down. So it can be used alone and it can be used with estrogen. So progesterone, again, a lot of times I start it in early perimenopausal women who are starting to have some increased anxiety or PMS or period irregularity, heaviness, or sleep issues. And then you layer in estrogen to support other symptoms and then also your long-term health with your bones, your brain, your heart, and your gut, and your mood. So progesterone is a fantastic hormone. A lot of women are like, oh no, I didn't do well on the birth control pill. That's because it's a progestin and it's not the same thing as progesterone. It's a totally different biochemical structure. Similar, but very importantly different in the biochemical structure. So, and I hope I answered your question about the progesterone. And I hope you guys try Juicy Like a Peach. I mean, Yeah, you can get it online at Joylux. You can, um, I think you can get it on Amazon right now. I'm a little, hopefully people who are helping me today will remind me. Oh, Ulta. You can get it at Ulta. That's right. You can get it at Ulta. The price is $43 for a subscription purchase. So yeah, and if you follow Halle Berry, she's talking about it a lot right now. The funny thing about Juicy Like a Peach, the name, when we were when I first started working with Hallie, she just kept saying, Dr. Sarah, I want you to get me, find me something that makes me juicy like a peach. Like the V-Fit's making me juicy like a peach. Let's just keep going. And so and then we decided to name it that because she says it all the time. Like if you look at how many times she's been on whatever television show or morning show, it's like juicy like a peach. And it's just her thing. So we thought, well, makes you juicy like a peach. Let's name it that. So anyway, she is fantastic. She loves this product and has been helpful in all of our innovation. So yeah, I hope you try it. If you have other questions about um, you can reach out to us, to our customer service, but essentially it's on Amazon, Ulta, and then Joylux. And then we have the Joylux customer care, the information and the phone number if you want to. Um, okay, I can't help it. I got to answer this last question. So anti-growth in the uterus, and that's progesterone. So just a little basic biology here because I can't miss the opportunity for women to learn about their bodies. So estrogen is a proliferative hormone. So it's our like sassy, let's go hormone. It causes growth in the breast. So that's why like when you get pregnant, your breasts swell up. That's from estrogen. And it's not a bad thing to have proliferation, and it causes thickness of the lining of the uterus. So when we have our period, our estrogen's low, we have our period, then the lining's shed, and then estrogen starts to increase and our lining gets thicker and thicker. So around ovulation time, it's like perfectly ripe for a little embryo to implant there, right? So estrogen causes growth of the lining of the uterus. But we need progesterone to be anti-growth, to control the growth of the lining. So otherwise the lining would just keep growing and growing, and then we can have irregular bleeding, we can have uterine cancer if we don't control that growth. So progesterone works in this beautiful balance with estrogen where it doesn't allow growth in the uterus. It stops that growth. So when our hormones are balanced, our bodies biologically work pretty perfectly, truly. And so estrogen causes a little growth in the breast. Progesterone says not too much. Estrogen causes growth at the uterine lining. Progesterone says not too much. So that's what I was speaking about. Progesterone comes as a pill. You take it orally. That'll help you with sleep. There's a cream that's not FDA approved, but can be effective for women who the pill makes them too sleepy. And you can also insert progesterone in the vagina as well. You can just take the oral pill and insert it in the vagina. That's common in fertility treatments. And then some women do better with it vaginally instead of orally menopause. So you're welcome. Yeah, I think women, we need to know more about our bodies and understand our bodies. And then we have even more empowerment to make informed choices. So I hope you guys feel informed about Juicy Like a Peach. And also, we talked a little bit about Relief Her and VFit, vaginal estrogen, and our hormones. So I hope this was helpful. And please reach out if you have questions. And we will see you soon. Yeah, have a good evening.